The world has just experienced its warmest March on record. This brings up a 10-month streak in which every month has set a new temperature record. As per the European Union's Climate Change Monitoring Service, C3S, each of the last 10 months ranked as the world's hottest on record. The 12 months ending with March also ranked as the planet's hottest ever recorded 12-month period. The global average temperature was 1.58 degrees Celsius above the average in the pre-industrial period from April 2023 to March 2024.
So we continue to see exceptional temperatures around the world, and March is the 10th month in a row that has been the warmest month on record for that respective month. And although a record in isolation often doesn't mean very much because the climate is incredibly variable, so it has warmer periods, cooler periods, but it's this long-term trend with exceptional records that has us very concerned.
Remember, 2023 was the planet's hottest year in global records dating back to the 1850s. Extreme weather and exceptional temperatures have wreaked havoc this year. Drought in the Amazon rainforest resulted in a record number of wildfires in Venezuela. Drought in southern Africa wiped out crops and left millions of people facing hunger.
And it's not only the air temperatures that are changing rapidly and showing these records, it's also ocean temperatures. And when we turn to the ocean temperatures, so again, we measure the temperature of the surface of the ocean, and we are seeing records there. And for the ocean, we've actually seen records for over 12 months in a row.
Marine scientists have also warned that due to warming waters, a mass coral bleaching event is likely in the southern hemisphere. Experts say the primary cause of the exceptional heat is greenhouse gas emissions. Other factors include the El Niño weather pattern. El Niño peaked in December to January and is now weakening. Now, this may help to break the hot streak towards the end of the year. Colombia's capital, Bogota, will start rationing water this week to alleviate an ongoing drought. The Andean country has seen one of the driest months of March in history due to the El Niño weather pattern. This has caused reservoir levels to fall, and the restrictions will also apply to 11 municipalities close to the capital. The decision is set to affect at least 9 million people. You may ask how the restrictions will be imposed. Well, the city has been divided into 9 sectors. Each sector will go 24 hours without water on an assigned day before the cycle repeats itself.
Esta situación tiene que ver, obviamente.
The situation is related to the El Niño phenomenon and to the fact things got worse during March. We expected to have rain the last week of the month. Therefore, the levels in the dams were supposed to change. That didn't happen during the last week of March. We had one of the driest months of March in history, and logically that worsened the situation, leading us to what we are currently seeing.
Obviamente agravó la situación y nos llevó a lo que estamos viendo.
The El Niño phenomenon arrived in Colombia at the end of 2023, causing high temperatures and droughts that led to forest fires throughout the country. It also pushed reservoirs to their lowest levels in decades. It is important to note here that the Chingaza water system supplies Bogota with 70% of its water needs. The 3 reservoirs make up the system are at just 16.9% capacity, their lowest level in 40 years.
Es decir, estamos por debajo.
The Chingaza system is below all of the projections that were expected for this year and the next one. This forces us to take measures to reduce water consumption. We will do and sustain this. We will do this through changes in behavior and restrictions.
Y es que el sistema Chingaza está por debajo ya.
It's It's minus 6 degrees Celsius in the Arctic, Norway. Indigenous herders are worried about a planned power line to supply Western Europe's largest liquefied natural gas plant. The line will be built on pastures the herders use in summer. They say towns, cabins, roads, existing power lines and other infrastructure have already encroached on the land that they use. Here's a complete report. Take a look.
Indigenous Sami reindeer herders in Norway say they can't lose any more land. And with the construction of a planned 34-mile-long power line to Western Europe's largest liquefied natural gas plant set for this summer, it's a big worry. Proponents say the line to the Hammerfest LNG plant will help bring down Norway's carbon dioxide emissions. But herder Nils Mattis Sara is skeptical.
Yes, to cut emissions is great, and all the talk about green energy sounds great to me. But to start digging in the wilderness and to call that a green transition, that doesn't make sense to me.
The battle over the power line illustrates the tough choices countries face over cuts to emissions, competition over land, and growth. This corral, about 1,000 miles away from Norway's capital, Oslo, is near the reindeer's winter pasture. In summer, they use land about 150 miles away from here. That's where females calve and young reindeer bulk up to survive the winter. The new power line is set to go through that summer pasture land, with construction set to start within months. Sara says existing towns, roads, and other infrastructure have already taken a bite out of it. Sara says herders are also facing additional pressures from climate change. Reindeer typically find their own food, digging in winter with their hooves to eat lichen buried underneath snow. But milder winters mean more rain, which freezes into a layer of ice. It can keep the reindeer from getting at the food, meaning Sara has to break with tradition and feed the animals.
It shouldn't be that I have to feed the reindeer up here. That reindeer is really worthless now that I'm feeding it. It costs so much to feed them. But there has been an emergency this year. Lately, it has become so that winter is challenging with ice under the snow.
Sara's reindeer district group, which has about 100 herders, is planning legal action to try and stop the construction of the power line, which is being built by grid operator Statnett. It says reindeer will only be affected to a limited extent. But herders say reindeer don't like the structures and avoid staying near them. Norway has committed to cutting carbon dioxide emissions by 55% compared to 1990 levels by 2030. And the Hammerfest LNG plant is the country's second largest single source of emissions. Right now, 5 turbines at the plant run on gas. The new line would allow it to tap into renewable power from Norway's grid. In a landmark ruling in 2021, Norway's Supreme Court ruled the construction of 2 wind farms in central Norway violated the right of indigenous minorities to enjoy their culture. Sami groups, green activists, and Greta Thunberg had protested over the issue. But Norway's Deputy Energy Minister, Elisabeth Sæther, says she thinks the new line can be built without infringing on indigenous rights.
We need to create new jobs, enable for more economic activity. Future jobs will rely on clean energy, not diesel-powered generators. For this government, it is not an option to give a categoric no to new power and new power lines in reindeer herding areas.
Herders say they would prefer for people to reduce energy consumption or find other ways altogether to cut emissions.
Dressed in red raincoats and big yellow suns, hundreds of people gathered together on the Canadian side of Niagara Falls to break a Guinness World Record for a gathering of people dressed as the sun. 309 people gathered on a Niagara Falls cruise ship to break that record, originally set in 2020 by 287 participants in Guangzhou, China. This is going to be our final report for today's Climate Tracker. Come right back after this report for more global news.